The United States would not dare ask any nation on earth to sacrifice their language if they want to deal with the United States. But it's easy for Mr. Trump to say, too bad for French, because quite often Canada does the same, but he wouldn't dare do that against Germans and French and Italians. So Quebecers have to stand up and say that's the end to it. We'll place our trust into Quebecers. And let's make it clear, Quebecers have the capability to say, without Quebec approval, no deal. They know what to do if they want that.
Yeah, there you go. That's today's Yves-François Blanchet moment. I think it's maybe time, James Mennie, to tell Yves-François to take a chill pill. This is in reaction to, I don't know, what is it, that the report that came out that suggests that as far as Bill 96 is concerned, I guess U.S. companies or businesses are worried about what happens come June 1st when they have to change labeling. What's this about?
The labeling articles of Bill 96, which you and I have discussed on this show, simply as being stupid in terms of antagonizing companies that, quite frankly, are not losing any sleep if tomorrow in reality the market of 7 million consumers that's off the table because you don't want to retool your entire process to accommodate a xenophobic government that happens to be running Quebec at the moment. As for Italy and Germany, I think there are a few more Italians than Germans than there are Francophone Quebecers to make it worth a company's while. But all that said, Aaron, cut Mr. Blanchet some slack. This is a big, fat, giant lifesaver he's been handed in the middle of this race.
Is it really?
He has been. Oh, come on.
Really?
Bill 96. This is what he's been looking for. He needs something to turn around and make him relevant. He needs something to turn around and back up all of his listen, we're here to protect you. Yeah. We are going to insist that Quebec have its own delegation when it comes to negotiating trade with the U.S. In other words, we want to maintain the vaudeville that we've been able to get away with under Justin Trudeau, pretending we've already, there's been a referendum, we've already separated, we're a separate country, we're going to do what we want. The problem is because, once again, I don't know what it is about federal liberals, once again, Mark Carney asked about Bill 96, and he's saying he'll defend it whatever the cost. Whatever the cost, Aaron. How much you want to bet Mark Carney hasn't read a single word of Bill 96? How much you want to bet?
Yeah, well, he does have people, though, who have, right? He has Melanie Joly in his campaign. He has Stephen Gilboa in his campaign. I mean, let's be fair.
And Melanie Joly knows that when a Liberal MP, what's her first name? I think it was Adriana Lambropoulos, a Montreal MP, said French wasn't in danger. She was basically ostracized from the party. No. This is one of the untouchable topics for federal liberals. And indeed, the Tories are off the hook because they said, Quebec, do what you want. It's okay by us. But here's the thing. Don't turn around and say, we're the party of the charter with that big, huffy kind of haughty, arrogant, federal liberal voice, and then turn around and squeak like a mouse when it comes to Bill 96. But all that said, we'll see how it goes. Once again, I said yesterday, federal liberals don't give a damn about whatever Anglo vote they have in Quebec. They take that for granted. They're going for the Francophone vote. They want to win Quebec, and let's face it, most of the Anglos are concentrated in Montreal. But yeah, listen, and indeed, I just saw, before we came on, the Parti Québécois also insisted that a delegation, that the National Assembly adopt a resolution challenging Mark Carney's assertion that there are not 13 economies in Canada, there's just one economy. So you can see these guys have been waiting for a bone to get thrown to them. It has been thrown to them in a rather sort of meandering kind of convoluted way, and they're going to run with it as far as they can. And quite frankly, they will get plenty of backup from some Francophone media here, who are also, they are as aware of how important it is to protect their market. Oh, did I say their market? I meant the French language and culture in Quebec. So yeah, you'll get plenty of cheerleaders on for this as well. But all of a sudden, here's Mark Carney with Bill 96 in his lap, even though the main topic of his campaign is supposed to be Donald Trump. By the way, Aaron, we have another 27 days left in this campaign.
Hard to believe. It's kind of, Jim, I'm getting the impression, yes, there have been a couple of fumbles by Mark Carney. I know you think they're probably more serious than I do. A TVA debate, his proficiency in French, I guess, fair as well to point out. I wonder if the federal Liberals are looking at Quebec as kind of the spoiled problem child in this entire election, as if, the difference between maybe a majority and a minority lies in Quebec, as people have suggested, but the election itself doesn't have to be won in Quebec.
It doesn't have to be won in Quebec, but if you want a majority, you've got to win Quebec. And quite frankly, if you are perceived as bending over backwards to accommodate Quebec yet again with all the other things. Remember, a lot of the support for Carney, let's forget about the Liberals, a lot of the support for Carney is the fact he's the guy to deal with Trump. Does the rest of the country really want to hear about Quebec's demands over and above Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Does it really want to hear about how Quebec insists that companies, like I say, recalibrate their assembly lines to accommodate the Quebec market? I'm not entirely sure that's going to fly. And quite frankly, just to be clear here, I'm the guy who says the whole fast thing, as far as I'm concerned, is not a big deal. Okay, I think the importance of that is more of a inside baseball urban legend than a fact. But here's the thing: allowing himself now and this automatic knee-jerk kind of, I'll defend it tooth and nail. Be careful what you're getting into, because I'm not entirely sure that Mark Carney knows all the problems, all the issues, all the legal issues that exist with Bill 96 within the context of Canada. I'm not sure if he's been thoroughly briefed. And I'll tell you right now, in the past 48 hours, it's clear he's not being well briefed. It's clear that maybe it's time for a shakeup in his entourage, because this guy is making rookie mistakes. Guess what? You've got a 28-day campaign. You can't afford to make rookie mistakes, okay? And if you come in, and perhaps the worst-case scenario for Mark Carney won't be to lose, but to be stuck with a minority government, who, in fact, is he going to have to negotiate? The Conservatives? They have a lot of problems. But the thing is, the divide between the Liberals and the Conservatives has never been so acute as it is in this particular campaign. Do you think these two are going to play well together if there's a minority situation? I don't think so. But we could see that happen if the bungling continues.
So let's talk about what the big story was yesterday. It was about Paul Chang. We know that late last night he himself decided, I'm going to resign. I'm going to pull myself out of the race. It wasn't Mark Carney who made that decision.
Yeah.
But then today, Jim, we have not one but two Conservative members who've also decided, or the party has told them, I guess, that they can't run either. So are we keeping score here?
I don't think so. Not in terms of the campaign. Certainly, if you're a news consumer, or if you're a voter, by all means, keep count of it. But as far as I know, there's no record of Pierre Poilievre standing up saying, "I support the guy in Ontario who said that, who joked that maybe Justin Trudeau should be the subject of a public hanging. I support the guy in the Plateau who said that, maybe the war in Ukraine is caused by NATO's expansion, and that, Bill Gates is trying to affect the world's health." I don't recall that having happened. What I do know is that Mark Carney, earlier in the day yesterday, said, Paul Chang, he made a mistake, but he's apologized for it. Let's move on. Then Chang turns around and leaves the race. How much do you want to bet, Aaron, that the name Paul Chang will be raised again with Mark Carney, either by Pierre Poilievre or Yves-François Blanchet, during the French language debate in a very convoluted question? And how much do you want to bet that the day after the French language debate, his response, or attempted response, will be the clip that everyone's playing?
Look, again, you pointed out we still have 27 days left to go in this race, right? I tend to think these kinds of things, yes, they're big for a day or two, then it'll get overlooked. I think the next big change here, Jim, maybe you disagree, unless something comes out of nowhere. And tomorrow we get Trump. That's going to dominate the news cycle as far as, this stuff goes for a while. Then it's the debate, and I think this will be long forgotten.
Well, you may be right. I'm the guy who says in this day and age, people are always swiping left, but there's a few things that are going on here. First of all, there isn't that much outside of Trump to fasten on by various newsrooms. So they are going to grab topics numbers 2 and 3 if it gets them some mileage and it gets them some clicks. The other thing is, what if on Tuesday, It's like he's been hinting at this. What if it's not 25%, Aaron? What if it's maybe, I don't know, 10%, 15%, 5%? Does the intensity, does the urgency of the Trump file suddenly diminish? And what's going to fill that gap? Yeah. I'm quite frank, I don't care. I don't care. Mark Carney had a situation yesterday that he could have dealt with. He clearly washed his hands of it, and he's going to pay the price for it.
Yeah, I agree. As I said, I was asked by someone what I thought, and I thought, he should have said, look, what he did was wrong. Great that he apologized, but I'm going to make a decision to kick him out, and he didn't. And I think, okay, that's a mistake. Question is, how long does it continue to hang over his head? I guess neither of us will know until, we know. So we'll have to wait and see.
Until we see the next poll.
Yeah, or the next poll. You saw the poll today. The Nanos poll shows the Liberals even further ahead than before. So I wonder how much changes, though, from what happened yesterday, because it was taken, I think, a day ago. And especially what happens here in Quebec. The numbers in this new Nanos poll, Jim, have the Liberals doing as well as they've ever done. And you wonder if, based on the flubs that, in fact, Mark Carney has made, if that will begin to show in the polls.
I have to tell you, I didn't want to raise Nanos because it's kind of a rolling poll. The method is somewhat different from some other firms. All that said, I don't want to leap on the fact that there seems to have been zero effect in Quebec about Carney's decision not to do the fast. I prefer to wait for Léger and see how that plays out, because let's face it, that's the poll that's going to get all the coverage in Quebec. So we'll wait and see on that. But listen, right now it's still Trump. It's all Trump all the time. But once again, I hate to say it, but it's going to be, the Liberation Day is not just going to be a Liberation Day for Donald Trump. It's going to be a Liberation Day for Mark Carney, because if he turns out to be dealing with a much clearly diminished threat. In fact, if I'm on tomorrow saying, gee whiz, looks like Trump blinked, I think the dynamic of this campaign will have changed, and changed very, very seriously.
Only have one day left to wait. James Mennie, the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
Matt.